Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days. Today, we're bringing back an old favorite, an old friend or foe, depending on which character of the show you are. Foe of me, friend of Richie, I think, is how we would play this one. We're talking about Sideshow Bob and the episode, blanking for a moment, Day of the Jackanapes. And of course, joining me as always, my partner in crime and your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
Why are you trying to say that I'm friends with somebody that's like been trying to murder people?
You have a goatee. You're clearly the evil one.
But Sideshow Bob doesn't have a goatee. Homer has a goatee, if anything. I don't know. We're going to have to talk about this later. We clearly didn't plan this one out, folks. This is Best Darn Diddly in the modern day and age. But we do have some things to discuss in this one. I mean, I got at least like 3 notes in my page here, at least. So we do have stuff we can talk about today. So I better not waste any time. Let me throw it back to him. The man, the myth, the muckluck. It is Miles.
The not evil Muckluck. I just want to point out that you're the bad guy for today, for sure. We're talking about Day of the Jackanapes, which is a title that I was not familiar with the reference. It is a parody of the story The Day of the Jackal. Though while the episode is titled based on the Day of the Jackal, this plot of this episode that we're discussing today is actually a lot more based on the movie The Manchurian Candidate, which came out in 1962. And then was remade in the early 2000s, I believe. I don't know anything about the Day of the Jackal, but the Manchurian Candidate is actually like a really dope horror movie where they basically MK Ultra somebody to like kill political leaders. And it's pretty neat. Have you seen either of the movies that this is referencing?
Nope. Manchurian Candidate's one of those when the remake came out. They advertised it all the time, like to ad nauseum, where I was like, I have no desire to see this now. I think wasn't it like Liv Schreiber or somebody that was in the remake? I don't remember.
That sounds right, honestly. I really don't remember, but Liv Schreiber sounds absolutely correct. I remember, and it was Denzel Washington, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, and it came out in 2004 for what it's worth. And yes, Liv Schreiber, Denzel Washington, and Meryl Streep. So just like a killer cast, pun intended.
Oh man, it just like, again, I saw ads for it. It was back in the old days of TV, where they would have commercial breaks and then you'd see the same freaking commercials over and over and over again, and I was like, you just lost a paying customer.
Right. I had seen the original Manchurian Candidate when I was a kid, and admittedly, the first time I saw it, I was probably not old enough to really appreciate it. But I rewatched it as a teenager and really enjoyed it.
You know what you call it when you send a killer telegram?
What is that?
A kilogram.
Nice. Very nice. This episode is again, we already said it's a Sideshow Bob episode, but what's interesting about this one is, according to the director's commentary, which featured Al Jean, Mike Scully, Tim Long, Matt Selman, Ian Maxtone Graham, and Mike Marcantel. This was Al Jean's first time writing for Sideshow Bob. He actually had always really enjoyed Sideshow Bob and wanted to write for him because he loves Kelsey Grammer. But Sideshow Bob is actually a very popular character in the Simpsons writers' room, and it's just one of those, Al being the person that we know him to be. I'm assuming he probably just yielded a lot and just like was like, all right, man, you can write this one. And that probably happened like 6 times. He's like, all right, man, you can write this one. All right, you can write this one, whatever. But this was his first chance to actually write a Sideshow Bob episode, and he was really, really excited about it.
Well, it's also been like 4 seasons since we've seen Sideshow Bob, if I'm remembering correctly, or wasn't the last time brother from another series or something? Like,
it definitely feels like it's been a while. Like it I can't remember the last one either.
I'm pretty sure the last time was with him and Cecil. So the last time we saw Bob, he was a good guy, unless I'm forgetting an episode from like 2 seasons ago. But I'm pretty sure it was season 8 the last time he popped up. So absence has made the heart grow fonder.
Yeah. That's absolutely the case. I'm trying to look up and see how many episodes they have. This is Simpsons Wiki is letting me down at the moment. I won't lie. But it feels like it's been at least a couple of seasons since we last saw him.
Mm-hmm. So he's up to his old tricks. He's going to have a crazy scam to get out of prison, though.
Yeah, for sure. This one, it starts out with a parody of
with the chalkboard gag.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I guess I should do that. And also, this episode aired on February 18th, 2001. The chalkboard gag on this one was the hamster did not have a full life. And the couch gag on this one I actually really liked. I wrote down Frody and Simp. Proud of that joke, not going to lie. But it's Homer runs into the whole family runs in, but Homer beats them there. And he lays down on the couch. There's a Dr. Freud-like looking person that is basically there waiting for him.
It was definitely something different. I kept expecting something silly to happen at the end, but it was just too real that it hit too close to home.
All right, I've got this list up finally. This is how long it took me to get that. I was like trying to get that to work, and I'm still having a hard time getting it. I just said I had it, and now I don't still have it because the internet hates me. I don't understand why this is so hard.
We're going to change the name of this podcast of Two Dudes Try to Use Google.
See, this has them rated in like somebody's ranking, like the top 10. I just
you gotta scroll further because some of the first ones will.
Well, if you have it, then tell us. I'm dying to know what the last time 2 people in a computer, and this is how long it's taking us.
All right, so
finally Reddit came to the save. Go ahead, sir.
No, if you got it, go.
You just started talking like you had
because when I typed it in differently on Google, the first one that popped up was Krusty Gets Busted. So I was like, oh, this is the right list. And then I immediately read the third one, which is Day of the Jackanapes, and went, oh, never mind. It doesn't have the right list.
Oh my God. This is honestly frustrating because everybody does it in like their opinion of like ranking the best orders. I even typed in, I want a list of Sideshow Bob episodes in chronological order. And it doesn't. You know what? I'm done. This is the first time we've seen Sideshow Bob since the last time we've seen Sideshow Bob. There we go. Moving on.
I've got it.
Of course.
Wikipedia. If you actually do appearances on the character, it does them in order on The Simpsons. So I'm at season 1 right now, and then it goes season 3 and then 5. So I think we're good here. Sideshow Bob Roberts was 6. Let's see, season 8, Brother from Another Series.
That was Cecil.
I'm reading. And then it says Bob returns in Day of the Jackanapes in season 12.
So yeah, you were absolutely right. It's been since the
if we just would have listened to Richie from the beginning, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Yeah, for now on, that's what we'll do. We'll just base all of our facts on Richie's opinions.
There you go.
God, this world is going to get scary.
It's not any worse than it already is with Fox News. Oh, did I say that out loud?
So this episode starts out with a parody of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's called Me Wanty, which I love that. Mo Sizlak is in the hot seat. And actually, this is really kind of funny if you watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire back in the day, which like everybody used to watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, at least for a little while. But it did always feel like they were just stalling. And like half of the episode would be this random person in a chair like, it could be A, but I also see it as B, and C isn't out for sure, and then D. And I love that when they kind of call Mo out for this, he just straight up says like, yes, I'm stalling because you told me to.
I like when they are asking him the questions. He's like, well, I was born in Indiana, so that ain't it. And that wasn't even one of the options. That was so what everybody on that show did.
His reasoning was just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. After he points out he was told to stall, the host is like, hey, that's great, but now we must have your answer in the next 10 or 15 minutes. And you think, like, the way he says it, you think it's going to be seconds. Like, he's going to have, like, a reasonable amount of time. But nope, another 10 or 15 minutes to ponder as beautiful women in very little clothing carrying wheelbarrows full of cash come in the room. And they're like, you want some of this? And they start rubbing cash all over themselves. No, I can honestly say that I do.
All right, then. For $500,000, Which of the following is not a subatomic particle?
Which, again, the answers on this, I guess this would technically be very much in line with like one of the first answers or the first questions on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because it was always ridiculously easy. In this case, the options are proton, neutron, bonbon, or electron. And Mo, this is where he's like, I was born in Indiana, so that ain't it. Like he said, just absolutely no reasoning whatsoever. But he determines that he is not capable of answering this question on his own. So he calls his lifeline Homer Simpson, who fortunately does answer, but he's just like, hey, Mo, we're watching you on TV.
Yeah, I know, Homer.
So how's the bowel obstruction going?
Homer, please. I got a nucleotide question here.
Well, it all starts when a nulecule comes out of its nest.
It's Lisa that actually helps Mo out here. The answer's bonbon.
And fortunately, Mo is smart enough to know that Lisa will know the answer to this question. He answers. Of course, he is correct.
Is that his ultimate response, Miles?
Yeah, instead of his final answer. Yeah, absolutely. So Virgil asked the host, he asked Mo, does he want to try for the big $1 million prize or just take the $500,000 he has now as a second wheelbarrow of cash comes from the ceiling?
And he goes, I'm going to play it safe on this one. I'm going to take the money.
Which I love that the response to that is the model just lights the rest of the cash on fire in a very Joker Dark Knight sort of moment. Like, oh, don't worry, I'm just burning my half. We cut from here in the same studio that Krusty is working on his show, or a show, I should say, and he's being noted to death by these network executives.
So they're watching a video of all this, right, Miles?
That sounds right.
So how did they get the footage of inside the Simpsons house?
Live cameras on set when you have a phone a friend, dude.
Okay.
If you were a friend that was going to be phoned on that show, there would just be a camera crew that would follow you around endlessly.
You never know when the call's going to come in.
I like, though, as they're trying to get ideas to get Krusty better ratings, because this quiz show is on top of its game, but Krusty, of course, is just calling it like he sees it.
This quiz show crap is just a fad.
Well, fat or not, it's here to stay. And it's killing your show in the ratings.
Hey, what do you want from me? I do a kid show.
And it's a classic. We just want you to open it up. Run wild, shatter the boundaries, slash and burn without alienating it.
Can you believe what they're saying here? Mr. Teeny does not look pleased.
He's disgusted with the network execs as well. And Krusty Krusty tries to keep it cool and whatnot, and they start working on his sketch show, it would seem. But literally in the middle of the sketch, which is set in an Italian restaurant, Krusty is sitting at the table looking at the menu, and Lindsay Nagel comes up and acts as his waitress while giving him notes on the scene. We're losing male teens. Can you get jiggy with it or something?
You're giving me notes while I'm on the air? That tears it. Folks, I've been in showbiz for 61 years.
Good Lord.
Now these jerks have sucked all the fun out. I don't need 12 suits telling me which way to pee.
For pee, could you substitute whiz?
I don't know. That could upset the cheese whiz.
I was just thinking that.
I can't take it anymore. Folks, don't miss this Friday's show. It'll be my last.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And even then, the executives are just quitting showbiz. I like this, but where does it go?
Get away from me.
So they literally chase Krusty off with more notes as he's just overwhelmed with the executives ruining the fun of comedy.
How old is freaking Krusty, dude?
61 years in the business, which, even if he started as a kid, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Krusty drives away in a golf cart, and he's like got the executives literally like hanging on to the side as they're like, it's very reminiscent of the Terminator scene, actually, which will get referenced again later.
But the one guy, like after he knocks him off the golf cart's like, you can kill me, but 2 more will take my place.
It's like cutting off the head off of one of those dragon thingies.
Hydra.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the Simpsons home, though, that the fact that Krusty is retiring is just making the family think about a world without Krusty, which causes Homer to kind of daydream for a second, where it's literally the same scene of them sitting on the couch, but now they're watching Nutsy the Clown.
What's on? And Bart's like, Nutsy the Clown. And Homer's like, ooh.
It's literally like exactly what happened with Krusty moments before. Yeah. Marge comes in with a great little meta line here. Well, I think it's a good thing for a show to go off the air before it becomes stale and repetitive.
Maggie shot Mr. Burns again.
And literally there's just no reaction. There's like cricket chirpings and Homer clearing his throat.
And Maggie's just sitting there like, eh.
So I will say that a lot of the director's commentary today was very interesting, but not in a way that is really conducive to this show. Because once we get to the Krusty Lou studio section, which is where we are now, the people on the commentary more or less talk about how Krusty Lou is a parody of Desi Lou, and then they really talked a lot about like the difference in how old school television used to work, and it was really fun. It was a great conversation. You could hear some people that have been in the industry for a long time talking about the changes and the adapting that industry has gone to, but they weren't really specifically talking much about The Simpsons, if I'm being honest.
They sounded like a bunch of Krusties.
We do get a little bit of information that I'll bring up a little bit later when we get into the Sideshow Bob portion of this. And I'll also say that Yardley Smith just happened to walk by the room and they like literally just like called her in. So she joins halfway through this conversation as well.
That's been a staple of these for the last few weeks, it feels like.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah. We're at the local news of basically the big news in the world now is that Krusty is retiring from showbiz. We got kids gathered, and of course, anytime you have kids gathered, the police are going to take care of that. So Chief Wiggum hits them with timeout gas.
Yes, they're still playing that game where you guess where the weather lady's in. Is it Pittsburgh? It's like that was over 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Like Sideshow Bob's last appearance.
Kent Brockman is actually interviewing Krusty about his legacy of laughter, and we cut to his interview with Krusty.
Kent, the young people today, they think comedy is dirty words. It's not. It's words that sound dirty, like muckluck. Muckluck.
We actually cut out during this interview now to Sideshow Bob as he's reading through his magazine Prison Wife and casually listening to this interview with Krusty in the background.
Oh, Kent, you tiresome tot sitter. I was the risible one on our dyad.
Krusty, it's always funny to have the dichotomy between Krusty the idiot and Sideshow Bob, who's clearly a genius of sorts, except when it comes to executing murder plans. Bob brings up Kent brings up the old episodes. You ever watch those, Krusty?
Oh, Kent, that's a sad story. I taped over all my old episodes. I had a thing for Judge Judy, and blank tape was $3.99. What would you do?
Bob is, of course, offended because the shows that Krusty is referring to taping over are, in fact, the episodes with Sideshow Bob on them.
Frankly, Kent, those episodes were no big loss. The show didn't really get funny until we fired Sideshow Bob and hired Who's-Its.
And that's where Sideshow Bob loses it. You've erased my past. Now I'll erase your future.
Hey, lights out.
Oh, honestly, at Chino, they get to stay up till 9.
Now, Bob, I've talked to the warden at Chino, and that's just not true.
I love that Bob is essentially treating the prison guards like playing mommy and daddy against each other at bedtime. It's really funny. Once again, though, it seems like for whatever reason, every time we have a Sideshow Bob episode, we also get a Sideshow Bob parole hearing. And
how often do they give these in Springfield prison?
He's complaining about the inhumane conditions, things like the fact that his shower sandals are obviously too small, and it's actually a really gross image when you can see like these child-sized like slippers and his giant foot covered in green stuff. And plus the book club that takes its name too literally because it's just a bunch of people clubbing Bob with books.
He's literally got marks all over his body, book shaped. And then when he makes a comment, everybody hucks books at him in the hearing as well, which there's not supposed to be other prisoners in there at that point, I don't think.
They're like giving character witness or something. I don't know. Judge Snyder, despite the fact that every time he lets Sideshow Bob out of prison, Sideshow Bob attempts to murder somebody, once again releases Sideshow Bob from prison.
And to be fair, he didn't try to murder anybody the last time.
That is true, actually. I think he technically saved a life, so that cuts one of his murder attempts off, I would say. That's how the world works,
the whole town.
So he's got a clean slate.
Yeah,
all the time he
tried to kill. Versus
Bob should be suing Springfield for wrongful imprisonment, essentially.
Yeah, but he's got bigger fish to fry, Miles.
And Wiggum is actually there to greet Bob as he's coming out with his civilian clothes. Now, don't try anything funny this time, Bob. I'm gonna be on you like red beans on
And Bob starts walking faster.
hey, don't walk so fast. Hey, no fair. You've got long legs. I've got these little bitty hooves. Bob. We see Bob. Bob actually walks very quickly, faster than Wiggum can keep up, to the Broken Dream Storage Locker Facility, which is, of course, supposed to be a storage center. But as we very quickly see, it's a lot of people down on their luck who are all making it a makeshift apartment, including people like Gil.
Okay, here's your storage locker, just the way you left it.
Basically, he asks if he can live in a box, and the guy tells him that
he doesn't ask. He's like tiptoeing around it. And
this is a ticklish question, but
you want to live in the box? Cost you $2 a day.
That's when he's basically, realizing that there's a lot of people that are living in these boxes. He even has a wake up jab option available if you'd like. You can set a wake up jab where he literally just gets poked with a broom handle. Bob is like, please.
No problemo.
Bob's also not even the only one working for revenge in this thing. And we find out apparently the tenants of this storage facility are all plotting their own form of vengeance.
As is everybody living in a storage facility.
That just makes sense. Yeah. We see that later on, Bob is now in front of the Springfield Elementary School where he says out loud that phase 1 of his plan is about to begin. And he starts to do a countdown. 10, 9, 8. So I can't wait. And he gets all giddy and runs inside the school. He's interviewing with Principal Skinner. Now, Bob, your graduate degree more than qualifies you to be assistant janitor.
Well, my.
But I am a bit troubled by your constant attempts to murder people.
To be fair, most of those people were Bart Simpson.
And I do believe this interaction is my favorite of the episode. If I'm being honest, Skinner starts chuckling. He's like, "Good luck. That kid's like the Roadrunner. He just won't go down."
Tell me about it.
Bob, your voice would be perfect for the school's morning announcements.
Attention, the French club picnic has been canceled. Quel dommage. I don't speak French.
Ha! You're hired.
It begins. I mean, my announcement career. That's what's beginning.
Of course, yes. This is a notably longer first act that we've had in a recent while.
Yeah.
It comes in at 8 minutes and 36 seconds. But that does bring us to the end of our first act. We open up Act 2 with Bob now taking over duties as the day announcers, doing the day announcements, I should say.
Scottish clan kilt is in the lost and found bin today.
And we actually see Willie looking hopeful as he's standing in his underwear. But then he's disappointed when he finds out it is not his.
For our last announcement, Bart Simpson. I repeat, Bart Simpson, we need you unescorted to the old sports equipment shed.
And Bart is actually like, ha, suckers, I get out of class. Not even like tying together. Even though I think at some point he's like, huh, that voice sounds really familiar.
And there's like creepy music the whole time he's walking out to the shed too. Like it's kind of well, it's just creepy.
They kind of set it up that like, it's going to be very ominous, but that makes this next scene even funnier when basically Bart walks into the storage facility, makes eye contact face to face with Bob, and it's like, hello, Bart.
Oh, it's you, Bob. How you doing?
No screams? Not even an eep?
Hey, I'm not afraid of you. Every time we tangle, you wind up in jail. I'm 6-0.
I love how cocky Bart is in this movie. He's literally like going toe to toe with an adult and like who's trying to kill him, and he's just being like rubbing in his face that he's been unsuccessful. I admit that record is a little one-sided, but this time I cannot fail. And then he takes a step, and it's Rix, my old arch enemy.
I thought I was your arch enemy. Ugh.
I have a life outside of you, Bart. Again, another great scene. Bob is really just such a great character, and I think a lot of times his one-on-one conversations end up stealing the show.
Yeah,
which is interesting, just because he's so unique to the other characters. Bob actually ties up Bart. He tells him that he has a plan, and he's literally got it written down. Let's see. Get a job as school janitor, lure Bart to shed, secure same to chair with rope. Here we are. Have Bart kill Krusty.
Krusty? That's the one man I would never kill.
Oh, you will kill Krusty during his final show, and you won't even know you're doing it. And he takes a quarter, starts to like hypnotize Bart, basically. Or it looks like that's what he's about to do, I should say. But then he drops the quarter. Oh, damn it. Where'd you go?
Hey, stupid.
And he looks up.
You looked.
Bart is going to be hypnotized one way or the other. Bob is determined to make sure that happens, and he actually he makes like a spiral situation with an arrow that he jabs into like a cork board that has a spiral pattern.
It's a target.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bow and arrow. He takes the arrow and the target and he spins it hypnotically with its twirliness.
It's that easy, everyone.
Yep. That's all it takes. So basically the hypnotizing is very weird because Bart's like, I'm in your command, before Bart even says Bob's like, I didn't even say anything about it. You're in my command. I said you're in my power.
I am in your power.
Excellent. Actually, go back to command. No, power. Back at the Simpsons home, Marge receives a message from Krusty, which is weird, but the family is inviting to the taping of Krusty's last show.
I mean, Bart's been a huge part of his life the whole time.
Yeah, but Krusty never remembers that. Like, I agree.
He's gotten a little better lately.
Okay.
They got to move the story forward, Miles. A wizard did it.
Bart actually gets home from his brainwashing session, and he gives Marge the excuse that he was at the flower shop, which he was clearly programmed to say.
I love Homer's like, oh yeah, I was also getting drunk at the flower shop. And I actually wrote in my notes, Miles, instead of a wizard did it, from now on, when something doesn't make sense, I just want to say that the person was at the flower shop, because it made me laugh out loud when Bart said that, and then the response that Homer had. So I feel like it should take over now.
Homer's response definitely was the beautiful little cherry on that turned it into a great joke. Because I was also getting drunk at the flower shop. Bob decides he needs to do a trial run of his brainwashing to make sure that he does in fact have Bart in his control or power. Power. He takes Bart to the Krusty Burger and basically initiates his commands to attack Krusty on the statue outside that you order through. And I love when he's like, yes, work the crotch.
And Cletus is filming them too.
Didn't he ask Cletus to take a picture? Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, and inside there's the cops. Eddie, Lou, and Wiggum are all inside eating, but they're too involved with their food to worry about it. Chief, you might want to take a look outside.
That's it. Kill Krusty, just like you'll kill him tomorrow night.
Well, it's so great seeing a kid use a wooden bat these days. It's all aluminum. And George W. What? This script is so frustrating today. I'm not gonna lie, but
he goes, it's all aluminum this and George W.
that. There we go.
This was 2001, Miles. That was
I get the George W. reference. I'm with the fact that it's 3 lines of dialogue and then a fucking paragraph explaining of what's going on over and over again is what it's been so far. But hey,
it's it
is what it is. Yeah. It's a story time with Mr. Most Days Off and the Whiz Kid today.
They're getting old and just yell at the script the whole time, ladies and gentlemen.
Wiggum, though, is not again, he's just happy to see somebody using a kid specifically using a wooden bat, I should say. Then he goes back to his pinball game that he got with his Happy Meal while Bart
Miles, no. His officers got that pinball game and he yanked it from them.
Yoink.
Let me see that. And he starts playing it and just completely breaks his officers' hearts.
And meanwhile, in the outside of the window of the cops eating inside, we see Bart literally just smashing this Krusty statue again. That's actually the drive-through ordering machine, just completely demolishing it.
And that's the end of Act 2. So we went from the longest act
to the shortest
act.
That act was less than 4 minutes long. 12:33 on that one, and 8:36 on the last one. So 3 seconds shy of being 4 minutes. That's actually kind of nuts.
And that makes sense to me because when I was watching this, I was grabbing a snack real quick during this moment, and I heard the act break noise, and I was like, "No, I go, what? Does this have 4 acts?" I was so confused at that point, and it makes so much more sense now that you have the script in front of us.
Yeah, and I think that the last act will be right about the same length as the first act. But yeah, this is maybe the first time I've seen this structure, if I'm being honest. Usually it's, we've had episodes that have insanely short first acts. We've had shows that have pretty long first acts, but I don't know if we ever had a show that has the shortest second act.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. And again, I would definitely say I like this episode, though it does lean heavily on the fact that I just really like Sideshow Bob. I mean, as most of his episodes do, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I think this is a good time to talk about the design of Sideshow Bob, which is the only other thing that they really talked a lot about on the commentary, to be honest. Somebody had asked the question to Al specifically, and they basically admitted, and this episode had both Al Jean and Mike Scully on it, who, had been around for a while. Neither of them actually truly knew the origins of Sideshow Bob, his character design, how he became involved, but they did hypothesize, and they felt pretty confidently that the 2 people responsible most would have been Brad Bird, who directed the first Sideshow Bob episode, Krusty Gets Busted, and then Sam Simon, who at the time of this recording, of course, had already passed away, but he had worked with Kelsey Grammer on Cheers, and he was largely responsible for getting Kelsey Grammer to come and do the spot on The Simpsons. And a lot of that did come from the fact that they did think it would be really funny to make make Krusty's buffoon-like sidekick actually be somebody that is vastly intelligent. And of course, if you've ever seen Kelsey Grammer on Cheers, he was the character Frasier, who went on to be the character on Frasier. And he was just known for being a almost I'm blanking on the word that I want to use here, but very full of themselves and their intellects.
Egotistical.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. Krusty takes the stage in the third act for his final farewell performance.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to my final clowncast. The word legend has many definitions.
And we can actually see that in the background, Bart is using a flamethrower. And he's hypnotically, "This is for Sideshow Bob." Marvelous, marvelous, funny how to the end moment of silence. Well, it's my show now. Yay! Thank you. And unfortunately, though, Bob wakes up to find himself in his storage locker. This is all just a dream. And he still has that taste for the sweet nectar of vengeance that he's hoping to get.
Bug spray.
And unfortunately, that sweet nectar of vengeance turns into a sweet perfume of poison as the cloud comes into his storage facility.
Oh.
We do then cut to the actual farewell retirement show for Krusty, but it's more of a red carpet situation here. Gary Coleman's there vowing to wow the crowd with karate moves.
Before that, Ron Howard walked in with somebody on his arm. So, they're bringing back some recent guest stars here that don't really say anything.
Yeah, they're just there, in the background or walking through the foreground. Rainier Wolfcastle, he's at the party, but he's actually looking a little worse for wear than we normally see him. He's put on some weight and not in a muscular way. He's interviewing with Kent and saying that he'll do anything. He'll do a nude scene or even play a nerd.
Even do a nudie or a Ned.
Sideshow Bob actually uses some potted palm trees to sneak into the auditorium, almost as if they were placed there perfectly for him.
But it's funny because the palm tree has the base, and then it has the rack that it's on, and you can see Sideshow's wide feet and frame below the rack, but above the rack, it's just gone. It's quite hilarious.
Yeah, it lines up perfectly. And Krusty's show kicks off with the opening act, the Chippendale Dancer, which is not a dude with abs and a thong or whatever those are called, jockstrap. Goddamn, I'm blanking on words today. It's Mr. Teeny the monkey dancing
to the I almost said Monty Python. Let's just shut up for the next 20 minutes, Miles.
Enjoy.
You guys just imagine what happened in the episode.
Yeah, everybody close your eyes and just imagine what you want us to say, and we'll go with
I'm sure there's some silent podcasts out there where it's just blank noise the whole way through.
That sounds like an interesting concept. Why didn't we go with that? We'd probably get about the same number of downloads.
There you go.
Mr. Teeny strips down to a pair of golden briefs, just like you'd expect a Chippendale dancer to do, and it's the song "You Sexy Thing" playing.
You sexy thing, sexy thing.
The Simpsons have great seats for this event. They're sitting nearly in the front row, and Bart just happens to be sitting right in front of an air vent. And sure enough, we start to hear Bob's voice.
Bart, it's time, Bart. Time to blow up the clown.
Time to blow up the clown.
Yeah, go, blow.
Homer's just yeah, whatever. Krusty then is now kind of doing a presentation of some of his older stuff, which this is reminiscent of when we did the Krusty Spectacular Showcase, and he was going back and looking at this is what the Krusty the Clown Show is like in the 70s.
Yeah, it very much is. And now a special treat. My TV debut on the Milk of Magnesia Summer Cavalcade. Let's watch.
We get a black and white version of Krusty. It's his very first debut. He is suspended by a harness on his waist, and he is flying above the stage.
Look at me. I'm Kaputnik, the Russian satellite.
The harness clinches up around his nuggets, we'll say.
Ow, the Bosch is doing the nutcracker in my pants. You couldn't say pants on TV. I was banned for 10 years.
Of all that, it's the pants that's the offensive part.
Yeah, that was the funny part. Finally, I got a second chance on Laugh-In.
Which Laugh-In is actually a real show. They actually came out with a documentary about it a couple years ago, which is really interesting. But it was definitely just like a comedy variety show. A lot of famous performers would just literally pop in. And they were known for having this wall with all these weird little doors that people would pop their head out and say like a joke and then, go back in or whatever. Kind of loosely spoofed again on the show What Would You Do, actually. And on the Nickelodeon show You Can't Do That on Television. But Laugh-In did it first, as far as I know. But Krusty's appearance on Laugh-In did not go so well because he's like stuck behind the little door he's supposed to pop out. And they're like literally like, setting him up with a joke and he can't get his door open to deliver his line. Hey, Krusty, what do you get when you cross a chicken with a beagle?
Well, the concocted doors are stuck. Don't just stare, Artie. Help me.
Back to the interview.
Those lousy shutters set me back another 22 years.
So just to do some quick math, Krusty said earlier that he's been in the business for 61 years, but then he said that his pants debacle set him back 10 and the shutter debacle set him back another 22. So does that mean that he's actually only been in the business for 29 years? Like what is like, how does that work out?
I'm going to say that because he would have to be doing some form of like stand up or something, waiting for Biden his time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Underneath this interview,
Miles, during those times, he was at the flower shop.
Getting drunk at the flower shop is exactly right. Coming up with all of his material for children.
There you go.
Beneath the interview beneath the stage where the interview is happening, we can see now that Sideshow Bob is finishing mixing up some plastic explosives. And I don't know why this line cracks me up so much, but he basically like dabs his finger into the plastic explosive mix and like licks it like you might cake batter. And he's just like, that's good stuff.
That's good plastic explosive.
He's filling up little vials that are strapped to Bart's chest. And he's completed it with 2 palm triggers on Bart's hands, all designed to basically go off when he hugs Krusty.
And now, my little hypno assassin, your cue to attack will be when Krusty says, I've never had such a great audience. You will run up and hug him.
And that's when we see the hand buzzers.
Blowing each of you to smithereens.
Twofer. He's going for both his arch nemesis and the person that put him in prison the first time. Bart, though, I love this line just because you pretty much can't tell, is it Bart hypnotized or just Bart the not giving a shit? Whatever.
He's been hypnoptized for quite a long time.
A while, yeah, he's going with it. He's a simple-minded boy, I think. That's easily manipulated, right?
I guess so.
While Krusty is doing a bit on stage, he is interrupted by Dr. Hibbert and a small boy.
Oh no, I wanted to keep this quiet.
Hibbert's laughing. Can I embarrass this guy for a moment? 3 years ago, Krusty pledged over $1 million to start Krusty's Care Center.
We've seen this a lot too, where people do this on like farewell tours, where they go up there to say something good with like a child that somebody helped or something.
So right. It's like a final surprise thank you type of thing.
Yeah. Please stop already.
And this is where this joke gets turned on his head. It's very funny. To this day, Krusty has not given us a dime. Has he, Francis?
I'm cold all the time.
Krusty tries to explain it all.
It was at a bookkeeper snafu.
Hibbert's like, okay, then can I have the check now?
Now? Sure.
Krusty starts to write the check, and Francis, the little like wounded kid, is like, God bless you, Krusty.
Oh.
Krusty's literally writing the check on air.
And if my banker's watching, let nothing stop you from payment of this check.
Cute moment from the commentary, just because it's endearing to me when you hear people work on the show who are moved by the show. Yardley Smith legitimately burst into uncontrollable laughter during this scene. Like it interrupted the commentary because she was laughing so hard at the stop payment joke, it's a great joke. It makes sense.
It's reminiscent of the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud, except done correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bob is up on the catwalk, noting how perfect of a vantage point for revenge it is. And then he opens a bag of potato chips and is like, kettle chips, the perfect side dish for revenge.
What a special night. And you know something? I've never had such a great audience.
Somehow Bob knew that Krusty was going to say that line, and that is the trigger word that got Bart out of his seat, arms outstretched in a hug-like motion, ready to go and hug Krusty.
So you're saying that, comedians don't tell every group of audience members that it's the best audience they've ever had?
I have literally never used that personally.
When Miles becomes a big stand-up guy in a couple years,
I'm going to tell him like it is, dude. You guys are middle of the pack at best, all right? Like, get better. Come back
much
next
like
time,
my act, we're
harder.
very middle of the pack.
Exactly, yeah. I get what I deserve. Well, Krusty, this is your Waterloo. Soon you'll be Napoleon blown apart. The stupid script just went up like 3 pages. It's basically the network exec is noting him. Yeah, terrible.
There's a guy up on the catwalk with him.
I thought it was one of the execs that was up there.
No, it's like some maintenance dude that's up there in the catwalk and just goes, "Ugh, terrible."
It's basically the response that Richie gets after every one of his dad jokes.
Exactly. But Bob knows the guy. Yeah,
yeah.
So it's somebody that's worked on the show. So I'm pretty sure it was a maintenance dude up there or a stagehand or something.
Bob is ready for his big moment to finally get revenge, but before Bart gets to him for that explosive hug, Krusty has one more thing he'd like to say.
I'd like to thank God for all my success, even though I never worshipped or believed in him in any way. But before I sweep up my last spotlight, there's one thing I gotta say. Over the years, I've
kind of does like the smoking motion.
A lot of whoa, and
he also does a humping motion.
Honk. A lot of auga. But there's one thing I'm ashamed of.
And Bob is taken back. Ashamed?
There was a man who used to work for me, a man of grace and humor, and I mistreated him and drove him to a life of crime. So wherever you are, I just want to say, Sideshow Bob, I'm sorry.
He actually pulls the big curtains on stage apart to reveal a giant portrait of Bob. And the piano starts to play the tune of Mandy.
Oh, Bob, you repaid my abuse with raw hatred, but I need you today. Oh, Bob, well, you went to a poos and you framed me, so they locked me away.
And that's when we cut back to Bob, who is genuinely moved by this moment. Oh, that sweet, funny man. And then immediately realizes to his horror that Bart is now only seconds away from completing his plan to kill Krusty. So he jumps from the
Hold
catwalk
up. He
above.
says the funniest line to me in the whole freaking episode, and it's not in our script, and I'm really upset about it, because when Bob remembers that Bart is about to blow up Krusty, he literally goes, "Oh no, my boy bomb." And the way Kelsey Grammer delivered that line was so freaking hilarious. I'm really upset. Like, they just kind of shoo it away in the script here.
Again, I'm very frustrated with the version of the script that we got on this episode today, but it is what it is. We made it work. If you made it through the first act that we bumbled through, then you're still with us now for sure.
I was exquisite in the first act, Miles.
Oh man, I was off my game. I won't even lie. But we're gonna wrap this up strong. It's not how you start; it's how you finish, folks. That's definitely how podcasting works. Bob's horror, he realizes that his boy bomb, as you just pointed out, is in fact about to hug Krusty. He tries to rush to the stage to stop this from happening. It seems like he's going to be too late. But fortunately for him, Mr. Teeny now sees the situation as it's taking fold, and he swings into action, literally grabbing the plastic explosives off of Bart, taking them to the nearest door available, and he's about to try to get it away from people for safety. But when he opens the door, he realizes that's where all the network executives are. So he takes just a second of hesitation before shrugging and being like, meh, and he throws the explosives into the room with the executives and slams the door. Boom! Big explosions occur.
What happened? Was anybody hurt?
Just some network executives.
And I think they had to do this. I'm almost think that they couldn't just leave it where you just exploded a room full of network execs. It's like they had to come back and add this joke in or something.
I agree with you. And also I think that it does loosely tie into earlier when we had the Terminator style chase scene. First of all, I think that T2 was just really popular at the time because it's a fantastic movie. But I do think this is almost works as a callback as well. But I agree. You can't just kill people and leave it going. So we cut back to the room that we just saw exploded, and in the floor is a bunch of liquid metal. It all comes back together just like Terminator 2. And they form into this kind of cohesive metal double executive. We have notes. Have you thought about Dave Chappelle? Destroy.
And there goes the T1000 exec.
Everybody now that we've seen so far, except for those executives, are celebrating all the funnies of Krusty and the fact that they didn't die. Krusty, I'm so sorry about the attempted murder.
You stop with the sorry. Every time you try to kill me, my ratings go through the roof, you nut.
We are good together, Krusty.
It makes me sad that you're getting the death penalty.
Don't remind me. We see Wiggum, Eddie, and Lou. Instead of him, going to a courtroom or a jail or a electric chair, they're wheeling in a guillotine up to the table. Okay, where do you want us to do this thing?
Isn't it customary to have a trial?
Oh, a wise guy, eh? And that is the end of our third act, coming in at 20 minutes and 17 seconds. So that third act was slightly shorter than the first act. A weird structure on this episode, but ultimately an episode that I very much liked. We cut to our normal end credit music, but the Gracie sound where it's shh at the very end is replaced this time by Krusty not saying a dirty word, but a word that sounds like a dirty word. Muckluck.
Muckluck.
That is the end of the episode. The day of the Jackanapes. Richie, is there anything else that you or that book of yours want to talk about this episode?
I thought this was quite the enjoyable episode, and maybe it's because Sideshow Bob hasn't been here in 4 seasons, so you're just so excited and chomping at the bit for it. But I felt like I remember in the past, I liked this episode, but it bothered me because he got the better of Bart in this one. He had Bart dead to rights in this one. And there's nothing Bart could do about it. And I always hated that he got actually hypnotized. And the first time I watched it as a child or a young teen at this time, I thought Bart was just playing along, but really wouldn't be hypnotized or something. But none of that even mattered to me now watching it this time. I just really enjoyed it and thought there's a lot of great moments in it.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of that. It's as a kid, I think it's you don't like seeing Bart being taken advantage of or having him getting the best of him. But you're completely right. I mean, this was literally seconds away from his plan working. And if he hadn't decided that he was going to call it off, he would have, it seems pretty safe to say that he would have defeated or murdered or killed, whatever you want to call it, both Bart and Krusty.
No, he wouldn't have, because his plan had a flaw. Mr. Teeny.
Well, Mr. Teeny was only alerted to the plastic explosive because Bob alerted him to it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I didn't remember that part there. I thought Teeny just had a keen eye.
No, it seemed to maybe, I mean, this is interpretation, so we it wasn't in the script. My thought is Bob saw it, was like going for it and was farther away than Teeny, but Teeny saw Bob and realized what Bob was going for. So without Bob calling it off, I don't think Teeny would have stopped it.
I guess all this means is we're going to have to re-review this episode in 30 years.
Oh, shit. Did I not hit record? I'm just kidding. It does feel like how that went today, but no, I thought this was a really good episode. I was, I'm hesitant to say it's like the best Silent Bob. God damn. Sideshow Bob. I am done. Whatever. Richie, finish the show. I'm hesitant to say that this is the best Sideshow Bob episode because it's been a minute now since we've reviewed the other ones. I would almost need to refresh on those. But it does feel like a great Sideshow Bob episode. And I think it is because I didn't realize how much I missed Sideshow Bob. We had gotten in a pattern where he got one a season for a while. And as we, took 20 minutes to figure out at the beginning of this podcast, it's been like 4 seasons since we've seen him.
Yeah, I honestly think this episode's in my top 5 for the season right now. Like I feel pretty strong about saying that at this point.
I feel like this is going to be a strong contender for certain. I'm looking at the other ones and trying to decide what there's at least a couple that are going to beat it, but I definitely don't think there's 5 that are better than it right now.
And you see anyone listening to this show and knows our history, instead of us waiting for the spectacular to break these down, we've been tricking you all because as the season goes on, Miles has been writing down his top 5 as he goes. That way,
I have not. That is not accurate at all. No, I am taking mental notes, trying to make it easier on myself because not all of us can just literally shit out a top 5 list, Richie.
It's all right. You do what you got to do, boo-boo.
All right. I think that is going to do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly Review Show. Richie, where can they find us online?
They can follow Miles on Mr. Most Days Off, at Mr. Most Days Off. I'm losing my voice.
But why would you?
And my water bottle is empty. Oh, no, I'm going to die right now.
It's okay. I'll cover you. You can follow Richie at TheWiz_Kid23.
I can't mute myself. I'm dying.
And I already am Mr. Most Days Off. Man, this is the worst. I'm terrible today. I will get better again one day. You can follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That is DIDDLY. Make sure to come back and catch Richie and I again on the next episode of The Simpsons we'll be reviewing, which is New Kids on the Block.
And for that one, I'm sorry, Miles, I'm not going to be available. I'm going to be at the flower shop.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.